Hello and welcome to Aviation this week on Channels Television. I'm Bukola Joe Oketsumbi. After 15 years of waiting, ex-workers of Defunct Nigeria Airways are expectantly waiting for the payment of the first 50% of their 10-year severance benefits. On the program, we take a look at the verification process for beneficiaries, which has lasted for about 2 weeks. Plus, the Accident and Investigation Bureau releases 4 final reports. That's our sneak preview. Here comes our background report.
This is a Sky Power catering grounds in Ikeja, where a large number of ex-workers of the defunct national carrier are gathered in their numbers. They are not just ex-staff. Most have the lines of age etched in them, and they've come from different parts of the southwest Nigeria to have their biometrics and other statistics taken as part of processes to take the first tranche of the 22.6 billion naira severance package. This payment plan is coming some 15 years after the former national carrier, Nigeria Airways, was liquidated, although a severance package was initially paid in 2008. The exercise, which began on October the 15th, is being conducted by the Presidential Initiative on Continuous Audit. The pensioners are asked to proceed from the first stage of checking their names to the second stage, which is to get a long form where they are asked to fill their biodata and other information required of them. The third stage is data capture, where their entitlement is spelled out and computed for final payment. Some former workers of the defunct Nigeria Airways have expressed dissatisfaction with the ongoing exercise.
The previous verification I've been doing, everything is well organized. But this one, they just module everything together. They don't answer anybody. There are some people supposed to do from Monday up to, as I'm talking to you now, they are still there now. Today is Thursday, which is supposed to be my own verification date. Now, they now tell me I should come tomorrow.
Personally, I thank Buhari for even to sign this, because we have been suffering for this money for about 15 years. Nobody, all the past presidents, everywhere, nobody want to take care of us for our sweat. But I really thank Buhari for him to give us this money. At least we hope to take the last balance. So I thank him. I want him to repeat the second time. Buhari, yes, for this money that they have given to us, I'm so happy.
The final payment printout form is signed by representatives of the Union, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the Federal Ministry of Finance, as well as the beneficiaries. But many here add that the EFCC has not lived up to expectation.
We have been here for this payment. I've been here since Thursday morning. I'll be sleeping here because of this payment. Just EFCC to approve my paper is what I'm still after now, since Thursday. Many of us are like that. We are still there now. Those people that you see sitting down, standing up there, we all are the same thing, waiting for EFCC to approve it.
I think they could have done better. This is 2018. We could have done this verification online. We could have done it online. It would have been easier. If you are not computer compliant, your children and your grandchildren will have done it for you.
With all the complaints flying in the face of the conduct of this exercise, the Executive Secretary, Presidential Initiative on Continuous Audit, Dr. Mohammed Dikwa, comes visiting. First, a tour around the main areas. Then, a face-to-face meeting with most of the retirees, where the PICA boss noted the concerns of the aged pensioners and those whose names were not on the list. He speaks about the federal government's next move.
We will ensure that everybody that is here and is entitled must get his own due share. I want to let you know that for those who are also captured already, the payment will go to start by next week by the grace of God. What you need to do is to just be calm, patient, so that your turn will come and then they will verify you. And as soon as they verify you, you just go back to your house, you get the alert through your system. So what I want you to do now is that we have agreed with the team leaders here that we're going to increase the decks, additional decks, that we're going to do another verification outside. And then we're going to also, as earlier said, increase the number of days that we're going to stay here. As much as possible, nobody will leave this place until all of you that are entitled are captured, please. Please and please, I beg you to be patient and then bear with us that we are here for this purpose. We are very much aware of the consequences already, circumstances we are in over the last 15 years of non-payment of these allowances or this benefit.
5,968 of the former workers are expected to be verified before the exercise closes in the last week of October, and among them were over 840 deceased workers who would be represented at the exercise by their next of kin.
The verification process did throw up a lot of issues, and one of the leaders of the ex-workers of the liquidated national carrier tells us more.
So far, verification is different from capturing. About 4,000 have been verified, but capturing, I will not be able to tell you the number because you have to go into the system to be able to know that. But I know a large number of people have completed their money, waiting for the money to get to their accounts. If you have if your name is there and you have your correct papers, nobody will deny you. But even if your name is there and you don't have the correct papers, you will not be allowed. They will ask you to go and get your papers right, especially with the letter of administration. And the moment you get that, nobody will stop you from having it. Most of the time, we ask them to go to the non-management office, where they will explain to them why their names are not there. Those who have passed on and they are being owed money, generally, they will get their money. But if at the last payment you have been paid and you die even before the last payment which we have put to you, pension, the moment you die, your pension ceases. Because the last payment that was made, they have paid, the first one was 2.5 years, then 5 years. If you calculate that into months, some of them have even collected more than the normal months they're supposed to collect. And if, unfortunately, you find your benefactor to be among such people, generally you don't have to be on that list again because the person has died. It was because they were not enough, they don't have enough number on ground compared with the number of beneficiaries. But now, since the third day, I think they have gotten enough men to cover up. As at the last meeting we held with the minister, she actually mentioned 6 months from now. But she promised that if there's anything they can do before the 6 months, they will do it. We are hoping that December, they should be able to do it. And we are hopeful, and I know the president will do it. Even before Mr. President came in, we have been discussing with him, and he has always been promising that if he has his way, he will pay. And he has just fulfilled his promise. And the first thing we should do is to thank the Honorable Minister of Aviation, who within the first 2 months of his junction into office, met with us and promised he would do something. And he did. Because not for him, whatever we are saying today, we will not be saying it. He did it and presented this document to Mr. President for approval. We give him we are very appreciative of that. Then we have to thank the current Minister of Aviation, Minister of Finance, who also came in and under 1 week get the approval of the university to release the fund. Because we are not talking of the approval of the amount now. That approval has been given over a year ago. What we are talking is the approval for the release of the fund, which has just been effected now by the President. So we thank Mr. President, we thank the Honorable Minister of Finance, and we thank the Honorable Minister of Aviation.
Away from the verification of ex-workers of the Nigerian Airways to our special reports on 2 women making impact in the aviation industry.
A field like the aviation sector is one known to be male-dominated, but now everything is beginning to change as women can now stand tall in high positions. Engineer Omodele Arowolo is an air navigator, safety inspector. Her field is one of those very important to the industry. This room is called the Communications Equipment Room, which transmits the conversation between the controller and the pilot. Here, Engineer Arowolo is carrying out her engineering duties.
Okay, this is the ATIS page.
Yeah.
When you close this,
The weather page.
okay, the weather page. And the runway, showing the runway. Basically what you use this is an indicator. You use it to monitor what the machine is bringing out. This speaks of the flight of the aircraft coming in, whatever conversation is between the pilot and the controller, they are recorded and archived over a very long duration of time.
This computer is the technical monitoring control system that keeps a tab on the frequencies.
It's an indication of what these other racks, whatever they are producing, it comes in here. From here, you can monitor all the other racks you have in here. You can monitor all the frequency. We know whichever one is having problem, whichever one is not having problem.
In her office at the NCAA, she goes ahead to tell us her responsibilities.
We talk about safety communications. We talk about controller-pilot communication, the communication that guides an aircraft from an aerodrome of departure to an aerodrome of landing. And along this, I'm sure you know we have air routes. Just like you have routes here, we have air routes. So when you talk of navigation, you're talking about how an aircraft gets from here, perhaps from here to Kano.
Then she gives her opinion about female interests in the field.
Issue of male dominance is an issue of perception. So I'm not going to say yes, and I'm not going to say no. And how we say it depends on who you are talking about. I've always grown, even while schooling, amongst men. You know, science is those days seems to be male dominated. I could remember clearly that I was the only lady that did physics up to Form 5, up to school start level. So it has always been for me a male-dominated environment, and I love it so much. I don't know why.
This is also another woman rolling out her desk work.
We have basic functions of facilitation. That's facilitation of passenger, cargo, and goods. Then another one is safety of flight operations on the air side. So we ensure the safety of flight operations, movement of aircraft, and we ensure that all the standards and recommended practices of ICAO are complied with.
From teaching, she ended up in the aviation sector.
I was a trained teacher anyway. I had the NC certificate then. But when I joined the organization, and as I was growing, then I realized that if I need to get somewhere, I need to get somewhere, I have to up my education.
For her, aviation is a gender-friendly sector.
There is so much opportunity for the women folk. The controllers, air traffic controllers, you have ladies now as air traffic controllers.
The aviation industry is very educative and open to everyone.
After the break, 4 final accident reports see the light of day. That's a news flash. Do join us again.